Hello, everyone. This is the Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with my weekly podcast entitled Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. Welcome back. Our ever-growing audience just is doing that. It keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and the bigger it grows, the more questions, emails, texts, phone calls, and all that stuff that I get, and I love it. Well, what I like to do, as I've explained before, is I like to take a look at, what am I getting the most of? And here recently, I've been getting a lot of people watching this trying to determine whether or not they should be in the world of sales. And of course, I think everybody should be in sales because I enjoy it so much. But I do have to say, it is not for everyone. So some of the questions I've been getting revolve around how would I know if I'm going to be a good salesperson? How do I know if I'm cut out for it? How do I know if I stand a chance of being successful? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to answer those questions for you in this format. Here are 4 things that if you struggle with might be an indicator that you may not be a perfect fit for salesmanship. So let's just take a look at them. Number 1, if you're uncomfortable talking to strangers. Now, obviously, when you're in sales, you're going to get a lot of leads. You're going to talk to people you've never talked to before, and that's one thing. But what I'm talking about when I say strangers, I mean anybody. For example, one of the biggest leads and one of the biggest sales I ever got is because I was sitting on an airplane, right? And so we're flying. And across the aisle, I'm listening to people talk, and they're talking about doing some sales training within their company, and they've got different bids they're looking at. And as we're going through this 2.5-hour flight, I wasn't totally tuned in on them, but I heard them talking about, what program they thought was going to be the best, what type of message they were trying to get out. And they were sitting there basically talking about how nobody had the complete solution. So what I did as the plane landed and it came time to stand up so we could get in line to get off the airplane, I simply looked over at the guys and said, look, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but throughout the flight I heard you talking about you're looking for a new sales training program. Is that right? And they said, hey, yes, absolutely. And I said, well, you know what? I'm in that business. I teach sales. I've got several really strong programs that get a lot of attention because they get lots of results. And I didn't hear everything you were talking about, but the few things that I heard, I think it'd be worth it for us to set up a time to maybe talk for 20 or 30 minutes and see what I've got, because I think I would be a solution that would be great for you. Well, I stood there and talked to them, and as a matter of fact, not only did I talk to them there, it turns out that we were both connecting, so all 3 of us were connecting because there's 2 of them, one of me. And so what we ended up doing is taking the next 30 minutes as we were walking to our next flights, talking about what we had to do. I set up a scheduled time to talk to them, and after talking to them and sharing with them what I did and how I did it and what their needs were and how it fit their needs, I got a deal. And not only did I get a deal, but it was a very good deal. You got to be willing to talk to anybody, anytime about what your product is. If you're not willing to do that, and I even mean at the supermarket, for example. Me and the wife, we were standing in line not long ago waiting to check out with our groceries, and we were talking about how we wanted some new furniture for the family room. And lo and behold, salesperson behind us, she taps us on the shoulder and says, same thing, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I heard you talking about you're looking for some furniture. And we said, yeah, as a matter of fact, we are. We're taking a look at maybe replacing our family room, definitely going to replace the family room furniture, maybe the living room as well. And she said, well, I work at Thomasville. She said, it's only about 6 miles away from here, and if you'd like to schedule a time for me to either stop by your house and take a look, I could help you out with that and help you decide whether or not you need to do both rooms, one room, the other, and you know where this is going. We ended up having her over, and we ended up buying a lot of furniture from her. So if you're uncomfortable talking to strangers, just not clients you're going to be talking to in the workplace, but anybody, you may not be good for sales. Number 2, if you have problems with change. I mean, in this world, there's an old saying that says, there's one certain thing about life, and that is that change is everywhere, and it's certainly true in sales, especially today. Products are changing so fast, the benefits are changing so fast, people are changing so fast, the way people purchase and shop is changing so fast that if you struggle with change, then you probably would not be good for sales. I mean, what I do personally is I sit down with myself and I sit down with my staff at least once a quarter, so once every 3 months, and we take a look at our products. We take a look at what it is our customers are asking for. We take a look at all these different things. And I got to tell you, there may be 6 months, 9 months, a year. There might even be as many as 2 years pass, and we don't have to change anything because what we have is exactly what people want. But we also find that there's been many times we've made some slight changes one quarter, come back and made even more changes the second quarter, and never thought a thing about it. We recreated PowerPoints, we recreated things that we pass out to the customers, collateral, emails, had to change a lot of stuff to stay in the mix and be relevant to the marketplace out there. And it's really hard a lot of times, I find, for salespeople to do this. Now, you will meet salespeople who tell you, I came in here, I've been working here 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and I've been doing this the same way the entire time that I've been doing it. Nothing changes. You come in here, you do this, you'll be fine. And my question to them always is, you haven't changed in 10 years? You're telling me you've got a product that hasn't changed in 10 years? You're telling me that your customers' buying habits haven't changed in the last 10, 15 years? Now, there's no doubt if they're telling me they're successful, that they're successful because in their minds they probably are. But the real question is, with them not changing what they do, are they literally missing sales? I mean, they may be way up here, but they could be way up here if they're willing to do a self-analysis on themselves and analysis on their customers and analysis on their products. And like, there might even be markets out there they didn't even know they're out there. Now, I'll tell another quick story with that. I think I shared this in the past podcast. You know, when I first started one of my training programs, we took it out because we were going to show people how to get more sales and higher gross profits. We were showing businesses how to get more sales and higher gross profits. And that's what we took to market. But our market started shifting and people became just as concerned about survey scores. As the internet came along and more people were aware of what's going on, they wanted to know about survey scores. And so we were missing sales because we'd call people and say, well, it's great, we're going to make more money, but boy, if we don't have happy customers. Well, we did some searching and found out that our product actually did help with survey scores. And so adjusting our presentation to that and then even changing it more and more over time has kept us relevant. Two more things you should consider if you're not comfortable doing or you're not good at, whether or not you should get into sales. Because again, if you're not comfortable talking to strangers and you have problems with change, you may struggle in the profession of sales. Before I get to the final two that I have, because remember I said I had four, I want to tell you about this book right here. What I've learned from attending over 35 Indy 500s, you got to get this book. It's flying off the shelves. I mean, really, they think I've got a bestseller on my hands, and I'm really glad about that. This book is cool because here's what it is. It's what I've learned about attending 35 Indy 500s in person. I learned about sales, motivation, leadership, management, and life in general. What I do is I tell a story about something that happened on the track during the race or with the drivers or the teams. Then I give you a lesson learned from that scenario. Then I give you a personal story after that on how I took that lesson and applied it to my own life, my own career or whatever. And then I give you some points to ponder, and people are loving this. It's available in hardback. It's available in softcover on Amazon.com, or you can call or email us here at thejeffcowan.com, thejeffcowan.com. You can get online and buy them there. Don't even have to talk to us if you don't want to. There's soon to be a video program come out with this. And there's also an audio program that is now in editing where you'll be able to buy it on audio from Amazon.com, Barnes & Nobles, and places like that. So get that book. It's fun. You know, Indy 500 is coming up here in May. Learn a lot from it. And here's what's cool about this book. I really was writing it for business people because I think there's a lot of good things. I know there's a lot of good tips in there, but I'm finding people from all walks of life are enjoying it, so get a copy. So back to this. How can you tell if you're not suited for sales? Like we said, number one, if you're not comfortable talking to strangers. Number two, if you're not comfortable to change. Here's number three, if you're not detail-oriented. Now, I mean, when it comes to selling, we've talked about this in past podcasts, anybody can look at a customer and ask them what they want. Anybody can present what the customer told them they wanted. And anybody can ask for the money. That's easy, okay? And you can be successful with that. But if you're not detail-oriented and following up on all the small things, doing the follow-up, making the extra telephone calls and the like, the devil's in the details. I know plenty, as a matter of fact, if you're not detail-oriented, it can even hold you back. I know plenty of people, for example, that sell cars. Excellent salespeople. I mean, excellent salespeople. Get people excited about cars, get people wanting the cars, get people in the cars. They hold a lot of gross profit to deliver a lot of units, but their paperwork sucks. Now, they may be making $150,000, $175,000 a year, but what they don't understand is I've been in meetings when they said, you know, we need a new desk manager, we need a new sales manager, we need a new general manager, and somebody will bring up one of these superstar salespeople and say, man, boy, if they could teach everybody else how to be as good as them, and they immediately get pulled out of the consideration because they say, wow, if we put that person in charge with the problem they have with their paperwork, multiply that times 10, 15, 20 other salespeople, it'd be a nightmare. And so these people don't even know that they're costing themselves promotions, and promotions that typically would add another $50,000 to $100,000 or even more to their paychecks simply because they're not detail-oriented. So if you're not detail-oriented, you definitely, I wouldn't say you couldn't make money in sales, but you'll definitely never be in the top 20% if you're doing that. And then number four, if you're not a great listener. You know, I can always tell in interviews if I'm talking to somebody that's got any sales experience, because I like to ask one of my favorite questions, which is, why do you think you'd be great at sales? And the standard answer you get from a non-salesperson is because I love to talk. I love to talk to people. I love to tell them my story. I love to tell them about my products. I like to talk. I like to talk. I like to talk. And what a great salesperson knows is it's not the talking that gets you the sales, it's the listening. It's the listening. When I sit down with somebody in an interview and I say, why do you think you'd be great at sales? And they say, because I'm an excellent listener. I'm able to approach people. I'm not intimidated by them. I ask them questions, ask them why they want the product, what they're going to do with the product, how they're going to use the product, what benefits they're listening for. And as when I ask those questions, I shut up and let them talk. I take great notes. I hear everything. So when I'm making my presentation, I can take what they said and form my presentation around that, which is more likely to get them excited, which is more likely to get them to say yes, which is more likely to mean I'm going to get the commission. You know, my favorite author and speaker of all time in regards to sell was a gentleman by the name of Zig Ziglar. Now, even though some of his books were put out 25, 30 years ago, I'd strongly encourage any salesperson to read those. They're as current today as the first day I put them out. But I think he said it best. He said, I think God, he said, I think God gave salespeople 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And it's because he felt that salespeople would benefit everybody more if they listened twice as much as they talked. So there you go. If you're considering getting into sales, you know who you are. I encourage everybody to get into it. It is a discipline that can be taught. You know, we'll get into born salespeople and all that stuff later, but it is a discipline that can be taught. I've seen just literally hundreds of people come in that didn't have any selling experience, any of the necessary skills, and go through a great training program and become excellent salespeople, but they were able to be real with themselves. They knew what they were capable of and what they weren't capable of, and what they weren't capable of, they were willing to work to change. So, again, if you're uncomfortable talking to strangers, this may not be the profession for you. Now, it is something you can train yourself to be, okay? But if you know that you can't, you're not flexible on that, it's not going to work. You can't have problems with change. If you're afraid to change, you get into a thing and you're going to do it the same way all the time, this may not be for you. If you're not detail-oriented, you're going to cost yourself a lot of money. And if you talk more than you listen, you'll leave so much money on the table, it may make it hard for you to survive in the business. So there you go with this week's message. I hope you liked it, because I sure like delivering it. So with that, I'm going to tell you to do what I do every week. I want you to go out and find as many prospects as you can. I want you to tell them about your product. I want you to ask them why they want your product. I want you to present that product and get them so excited that they just jump. They throw the money at you because they want it. And so you get the sale, you get the commission, and you get the lifestyle that you're looking for and the one that you deserve. Because between now and next week, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So between now and next week, have a great week. Go to Amazon.com or thejeffcowan.com. Buy this book. You're not going to be sorry you did. Buy this book. As a matter of fact, you buy it from thejeffcowan.com. You want an autograph, I'll even sign it for you and send it to you at no extra charge, of course. So with that, have a great week. I will see you next week. Take care.